Have you ever pondered why Winston Churchill, despite his remarkable leadership skills, faced tremendous criticism for certain military setbacks? An intriguing question that leads us into the enigma surrounding Churchill's leadership. This man, whose name is synonymous with British history, navigated a labyrinth of challenges and complexities. His decisions, particularly during the crucible of wartime, have been dissected and debated by scholars and historians alike. Churchill's leadership was not a smooth sail. It was a journey punctuated by towering peaks and deep valleys. He was at the helm during some of Britain's greatest victories, yet also bore the brunt of blame for devastating losses. The Gallipoli campaign and the Dieppe raid are but two examples of military operations that didn't go as planned, and for which Churchill faced a barrage of criticism. The story of Churchill's leadership is one of triumphs, trials, and tribulations, a tale that we will unravel today. In the early days of his leadership, Churchill was already a force to be reckoned with. His early years in political leadership were marked by a combination of successes and setbacks, all of which played a crucial role in shaping the Churchill we remember today. Perhaps one of the most significant periods of his early leadership was during World War I, when he served as the First Lord of the Admiralty, essentially the political head of the British Royal Navy. Churchill was a firm believer in the power of naval warfare and saw the Navy as Britain's strongest defense against the Central Powers. However, it was during this time that Churchill faced one of the biggest challenges of his career, the notorious Gallipoli campaign. Conceived as a bold strategy to knock the Ottoman Empire out of the war, the campaign aimed to establish a supply line to Russia through the Dardanelles, a narrow strait in northwestern Turkey. Churchill's plan was ambitious, daring, and as it turned out, disastrously flawed. The campaign, which began in April 1915, quickly turned into a military catastrophe. Poor planning, underestimated enemy forces, and challenging terrain all contributed to a disastrous campaign that resulted in heavy losses for the Allies. The campaign lasted for over 8 grueling months, ending in January 1916 with the Allies' withdrawal and leaving behind a legacy of over 56,000 casualties. Churchill's role in the Gallipoli campaign was highly controversial and subjected him to severe criticism from both his political peers and the public. His reputation was deeply tarnished, and he was eventually forced to resign from his position as First Lord of the Admiralty. It was a low point in his career, a harsh blow to his leadership. However, it was also a defining moment for Churchill. The Gallipoli campaign was a harsh lesson for him, one that would shape his future leadership. The experience taught him valuable lessons about strategy, decision-making, and the heavy cost of war, lessons that would ultimately guide his leadership during the tumultuous years of World War II. The Gallipoli campaign was a harsh lesson for Churchill, one that would shape his future leadership. After the First World War, Churchill faced a period of political isolation, often referred to as his wilderness years. During this time, he was like a voice crying out in the wilderness, persistently warning the world about the rise of Nazi Germany. This period of Churchill's life, stretching from the mid-20s to the late 30s, was marked by a significant dip in his political career. He was out of government and his views were largely ignored, if not outright ridiculed. Yet, Churchill remained undeterred. He continued to voice his concerns about the growing threat of Nazi Germany, a menace he felt was being underestimated by the rest of the world. His warnings, however, fell on deaf ears. It was a time of appeasement, a time when the world was eager to avoid another global conflict at all costs. Churchill's calls for rearmament and his refusal to appease Adolf Hitler were seen as warmongering. He was ostracized, his views dismissed, yet it was during these wilderness years that Churchill's resilience truly shone through. He was a man standing against the tide, holding firmly to his convictions despite the isolation and ridicule. He wrote, he spoke, he argued, fueled by a sense of impending catastrophe that he alone seemed to perceive. This period also saw him penning some of his finest works. His historical and biographical writings from these years reflect his deep understanding of the complexities of power and the dangers of appeasement. They also reveal a man who, in the face of constant rejection, remained steadfast in his beliefs. And then came the storm he had predicted. The world was plunged into the Second World War, and suddenly Churchill's warnings didn't seem so far-fetched. The man who had been ignored and ridiculed was now needed more than ever. Churchill's wilderness years tested his resolve, yet he emerged with unwavering conviction, ready to face the trials that lay ahead. When World War II broke out, Churchill's leadership was put to the ultimate test. As Prime Minister, he had to navigate the treacherous waters of global conflict, making decisions that would impact not just Britain, but the entire world. Churchill's oratory skills were a key part of his leadership. His famous speeches, filled with determination and defiance, served as a beacon of hope for the British people during the darkest days of the war. Who can forget his iconic words, "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills, we shall never surrender." But his leadership was not without its share of controversy. One of the most significant military setbacks under his watch was the Dieppe raid in August 1942. The objective was to seize and hold a major port for a short period, gather intelligence, and destroy coastal defenses. The operation was a disaster. More than 3,000 out of the nearly 5,000 men who made it ashore were either killed, wounded, or captured. Churchill faced severe criticism for the failure of the Dieppe raid. Critics argued that the plan was poorly conceived and executed, and that Churchill bore a significant portion of the responsibility. Some even called for his resignation. But Churchill was not one to be easily deterred. He defended the raid, arguing that it provided valuable lessons that would be used in future operations. He once said, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." These words perfectly encapsulate Churchill's approach to leadership. He was not immune to failure, but he had the courage and determination to learn from his mistakes and press on. Despite the criticism, Churchill's leadership remained steadfast, his spirit unbroken. Even in the face of setbacks and controversy, he remained committed to the cause of freedom and the defeat of tyranny. His leadership during World War II is a testament to his resilience, tenacity, and indomitable spirit. Beyond the battlefield, Churchill's leadership continued to leave a profound impact. As the echoes of World War II began to fade, Churchill found himself navigating a new geopolitical landscape. The world was now divided not by trench lines, but by ideological differences. The Cold War had begun. Churchill's leadership during this period was marked by the same unflinching resolve that had characterized his wartime command. He coined the term Iron Curtain in a speech in Fulton, Missouri, warning of the Soviet Union's expansionist policies. Yet he was also a fervent advocate for peace and unity, dreaming of a United States of Europe to prevent future wars. But his post-war leadership was not without controversy. Many criticized Churchill for his handling of the British economy, which was suffering from the aftermath of the war. His government's austerity policies were deeply unpopular, leading to his defeat in the 1945 general election. Yet Churchill, ever the bulldog, did not let this setback define him. He returned as Prime Minister in 1951, continuing to shape Britain's post-war identity until his retirement in 1955. Churchill's leadership after World War II further solidified his place in history. His speeches and writings continue to inspire, and his bulldog spirit has become a symbol of British resilience. His legacy, however, is not without its shadows. His decisions during the war and his staunch imperialism have drawn criticism, revealing the complexities of leadership in times of crisis. Yet Churchill's legacy is not defined by his setbacks, but rather by his ability to rise above them. His leadership, marked by courage, determination, and a remarkable ability to inspire, has left an indelible mark on world history. His life serves as a testament to the power of resilience, reminding us that even in the face of adversity, one can still leave a lasting legacy. Churchill's legacy, much like his leadership, is a complex tapestry of triumphs, setbacks, and resilience. So, what can we make of Churchill's leadership and the criticisms he faced? We've delved into his life, his highs and lows, his wilderness years, his leadership during World War II, and his post-war leadership and legacy. Throughout it all, we've seen a man of great determination and resilience, a leader who was steadfast in the face of adversity. Yet, Churchill was not without his critics. His decisions during the Gallipoli campaign and the Dieppe raid were met with great scrutiny, revealing the inherent complexities and challenges in wartime decision-making. These setbacks brought to light the immense pressure and responsibility leaders face, especially during times of war. Churchill navigated these challenges with a combination of courage, wit, and a unique strategic vision, reaffirming his place in history as one of the world's most influential leaders. The enigma of Churchill's leadership serves as a reminder that even the greatest leaders face trials and criticism, revealing the true complexities of leadership.